My name's Max, I'm 58. I'm a retired political journalist and I live on this small holding in Somerset. I've set myself a challenge. For a whole year, I will only eat and drink what I can produce on these 4.5 acres. At least half my tiny farm is a vineyard I planted 10 years ago. It's a marvellous habitat for wildlife which we never spray with pesticides or herbicides. It's a tiny microclimate, its own ecosystem. Voles, for example, love it in here, and owls love voles. The long grass is a haven for insects in summer. Woodpeckers rule. It isn't very neat, but it's alive. I planted this vineyard back when I was young and optimistic, and even I didn't ever think we'd produce good grapes, let alone produce any really decent wine. I was completely wrong. It's early October, and today is harvest day. Once a year, a group of local farmers and friends swarm in mob-handed to pick grapes and have a huge lunch. Picking grapes is not that popular after a while, whereas having a huge lunch is brilliant fun. So our policy is to have loads and loads of people and try and get it all done in 2 or 3 hours. It's always raucous and it's usually pouring with rain.
2 years ago, it was absolutely heaving it down. Everyone was just, but they still had a good feeling to it. Like everyone was still really jolly and.
Have a glass of wine, actually. last year's vintage rosé.
I was wondering why you cycled down for it.
It's the only reason I come.
Right, I'll go and get a couple of bottles and some paper cups. But it is
at the wrong time, haven't I? I'm sorry.
It is a tiny bit dangerous.
But I'll wait for the wine.
Oh shit, I fucked up.
Yeah, yeah, we're going to finish at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning now.
Yeah,
I'm Ruby, I'm number 7.
Brothers, that's
6 brothers, 6 older brothers.
Do they keep you in place, or do you keep them in
I
place?
keep them in place, for sure, yeah.
I think that if I chop my finger off, that would be quite funny.
No, I haven't got any grapes in the car. I just put it in the bucket. But I did have a full bucket. I had a big full bucket. You caught me a bad time.
Talking about your management technique.
What about it?
Well, it's interesting. It's very reporter-esque rather than actually. You obviously didn't go to management school, but you're very effective.
Down there.
Because I bark at people.
No, you don't bark at people. You do everything with love and kindness, which I think really suits the project.
What I don't believe is that everyone turns up each year to do it. This is what, your 3rd year?
Second, yeah.
Second, and
year.
you know, and I just think, how is it that I can get people to work for nothing all day?
Yeah.
Today is the harvest day. We are harvesting all of our grapes, and I have been tasked with cooking lunch for everyone. Dad, relies on his lovely friends to all turn out in force to help him pick. And so he's got 20 of his friends to come over and help, which means that they blitz through it much quicker, and it's a great idea. But it means that I've got to feed, 20 more people. And he doesn't really mind about that. He thinks, it's great to have them all over and help me out. But, I'm left cooking for an absolute army of workers.
Very hungry workers.
Very hungry workers. I'm sure that they'll be really appreciative, and it'll be fine.
All right, let's go see what you cook.
All right. The challenge today is to do a lunch for all the entire workforce of 30 people, completely self-sufficient from the stuff that Dad has given me. And so we have got on the menu mashed potato with herbs and milk and butter through it. We've got a big beef stew going on over there, and we've just been cooking for about 24 hours, which has got carrots, onions, leeks, lots and lots of nice things in it. And then we're doing some chard just down here, and I've got some squash roasting in the oven. It makes it easier when the ingredients are really, really high quality. And so when Dad started doing a self-sufficiency thing, you go into the garden and the greenhouse and stuff and you find such lovely things that it's not too difficult to pull things together.
Just before we do taste this, how much butter do you make a week?
Approximately about 50 tonnes. So
Quite a lot then.
Yeah, quite a lot in all sorts of different forms. So
Right.
for different people, and unsalted and pastry butter and flavours and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
So
So taste this. This is made on Friday.
okay. Okay. So it's nice. It's not rancid or anything, but it's quite old.
What does that mean?
So I can taste the age of the cream. So ordinarily, so for us, we'd have cream and we'd have a 6-week shelf life effectively on our butter. I'd say
That's towards taste of it's towards the end
that
of the
tastes
shelf
towards
life.
the end of the shelf life. So if you had a really good whey butter, you'd be able. It's kind of at the end of that shelf life. So
Right.
it's still good, but you've got a bit of age with it.
So what am I doing wrong then?
Well, how are you salting it?
Just with mould and flaky sea salt,
Okay, so
1.6%.
1% just with the flakes.
Yeah.
So I would suggest you go to about 1% with a PDV salt.
Right,
So,
which is very fine.
Yeah, or just crush up your moulding.
Okay.
Get a pestle and mortar and crush it up about 1%, and then put your flakes on top of it, which is kind of a
Give that crunch.
yeah. It's a good to have, and the crunch with the moulding, because it's a very soft salt,
Right.
will go over time, but you will end up with salty pockets.
Right.
But you will have the underlying protection.
Because
for
what
your
I'm not
butter.
thinking, I guess, is I'm not thinking the salt's actually preserving the butter. It makes it taste nice, but it's actually preserving the butter.
It's preservation. So you want to mix your salt in really well. You
Right.
want to beat that in, and so I don't know if you've got you almost want like a salt tester, so a percentage
Right.
tester, so you can just test your pH or something
Right.
on it. And then add in your salt crystals afterwards.
Right.
And then that will sort of give it an extra kick.
Right.
Because obviously you're gathering your cream
Over a whole week,
Over a
'cause it takes
whole
me a
week.
whole week to-
That's another process that I kind of need to think about a little bit more about
Right.
how you could do that. It's not a killer by any means, and actually that's much better than I thought maybe it would be.
Really?
Yeah.
That's nice. Although the vineyard takes up half the farm, it's not really an economical size. In a good year, it produces perhaps 2,000 bottles of wine. But our excellent rosé is fantastic bartering currency, and it pays for tractor drivers, labour and expertise across the seasons. Something I'd be hard pushed to do without. Can English wine be good?
Without a shadow of a doubt. This
Really?
is proving it.
Really?
This is an impressive wine made from a small family vineyard, of which the southwest is really predominantly about the small family wineries. There are
Yeah.
about 200 in the southwest, of which you're one.
Yeah.
And out of 8,000 acres under vine in the whole of the UK, you're about 1.5 acres of really premium, exciting English wine.
Yeah. Camilla Wood runs a successful local wine business and is a great advocate for the burgeoning UK wine industry.
It's different every year, which is what a great English vineyard should express. The seasons, the land, the aspect, the person involved, and it's truly authentic. And this vintage that we did, we picked this time last year, was a tiny vintage, but it was really good. It was more savoury. It's much more reminiscent of a good Provence rosé, and it's just flown off the shelves. We sold loads of it, and I think, you know, Max's project is all about showing that you can create something really beautiful, really good, from a small plot that's really truthful to the land. And this project of living off the land is testament to that as well.
It's been fun to do the harvest.
It's great, it's great. And everyone coming here and all the rest of it. What's spooky is what the vineyard's like when everyone's gone and all the grapes are gone. And there's just something slightly sort of haunted about it. All that's left for these vines to do now is to die, you know? And we're 3 weeks away from the clocks going back and it being dark at 5 o'clock and the proper, you know, beginning of the winter. And it's expressed in this vineyard, which has fulfilled its purpose. And now it just has to die. And I find it quite a sort of, quite a spooky, Halloweeny, you know, autumny, Octobery thing.
What's so what can we expect the next couple of months? What are we looking at?
I've got to get preserving. I've got to get bottling. I've got to get making jams and chutneys and all the rest of it. All I've been doing is just chucking things in the freezer or trying not to think about it. I've been so busy, particularly with the grapes and harvest and starting the milking regime and all the rest of it. So I've got to get into the kitchen and get sorted out. We used quite a lot of our ingredients today. We used quite a lot of potatoes, and as Ollie was dishing up and everything, I was thinking, oh my God, that's quite a lot of food that everyone's chugging, you know. Yeah, it's 30 meals. And it's made me think, right, I really want to start making jams and chutneys and you know, preparing for things.
And see the food, you know that it's there.
Yeah. And I want to feel like I want to kind of wrap my arms around it and start sort of protecting it a little tiny bit. Because it's a long way till next September, you know? Yeah. That'll do, won't it? All right.